So the Epoch Times is a conservative news outlet. They have newspapers and they have a website. And what you'll see is very pro-Trump conservative, ultra-conservative content. It's come up in 2016 as a real player in the conservative ecosystem. Before then, it was really known as just a Chinese language newspaper that was associated with Falun Gong. And Falun Gong, it's a movement, it's a religious, spiritual movement that's headed by a man named Master Li Hongzhu. Master Li lives in Dragon Springs, New York. He lives upstate and he is the head of this religion. So all the people in this religion have to volunteer their time at one of the media arms. Now there's the Epoch Times, and that's the newspaper. And then there is NDTV, and that's the television component and the video component. And then there's Shen Yun. And Shen Yun, if you've seen the ubiquitous advertisements everywhere, it's a traditional Chinese dance troupe with a very anti-communist China message. So the whole point of all of these things, whether it's the Epoch Times or Shen Yun, is to relay this message that the end of the world is coming. If you are aligned with communism, you will go to a sort of hell. And if you are not aligned with communism, if you align yourself with Falun Gong, then you will be spared and you will go to heaven. So it's sort of an apocalyptic sort of cult, not unlike a lot of religions. But what makes it interesting is that they're using their money to really back Trump, and they're aligning themselves with evangelicals and just, conservatives on the internet to really push a pro-Trump message, and it really seems to be working. They have gone from a really fledgling newspaper where no one was really reading it. It cost $1. Sometimes it was free on the streets of New York, and now they are everywhere. Their senior editors were in Trump Tower earlier this year interviewing Laura Trump. They're at CPAC. They're interviewing congressmen, celebrities like, Diamond and Silk and Candace Owens and Ted Cruz. They're really coming up in the conservative movement, and it's important to know who's behind this. Something else they've done that's really interesting lately, and why we started looking at them, is they started buying Facebook ads. They've spent $1.5 million on 11,000 Facebook ads this year alone, and all of the ads are very pro-Trump, but they also push a conspiratorial message. And Falun Gong itself is really interesting because it started in the 1990s. It started in China, and it was headed by Master Li. And Master Li sort of came up with this new practice. It was a little bit of mysticism, a little bit of Buddhism, a little bit of yoga. And so what he did is he made this process, as one expert described to me, he made this process of meditation and transcendentalism really, really simple. So there are 5 exercises. People, older people could do them in the park. You see them all around New York City doing the exercises now, and it was really easy. But it also came with some pretty out there ideas. It's an ultra conservative worldview behind Falun Gong. So they don't support gay people. They are anti-pop music. They don't support feminism. They rail against any sort of modernism. I mean, part of their motto is traditionalism. It's also important to know that in China they were banned in the 90s because China didn't like the fact that they were becoming so popular, And so they imprisoned some of their people, of their followers, and human rights organizations say that they tortured and killed many. So Master Li brought his followers here. He moved here himself, and he lives in New York. And what he does is he runs a commune there with many followers. They believe things that former practitioners have told us are unsettling. So one of them is, the aliens are real. One is that they discourage the taking of medicine because Master Li has taught that sickness is caused by some sort of evil inside of you, and then Falun Gong can cure you of that. So, these are all things that we've heard, but the overarching narrative is that, Falun Gong believers believe that we are headed toward a judgment day where communists and non-communists will be pitted against each other. So all of these outreach efforts, whether it's the Epoch Times or Shen Yun or NDTV, are all out there to sort of save the souls of sentient beings, they say. So this is all an effort to not only, win your soul, not only, win the vote for Donald Trump, but also, to save the world.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here. And click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.